Take two. Welcome back to the stream. We had some interruption, so this is the second stream. The other one's up. Hi, Sean. Thanks for staying with us. Getting some results from Scotland as well. Bit more mixed there. Bit closer, I think. Slightly different. Obviously, Scotland, unlike the UK in general, unlike England, certainly, the majority voted to stay in the EU in Scotland, so a slightly different picture there. But Lib Dems again having quite a strong night so far. So this past week on my radio show, I had an LA1 special, me and a guest, Ray Turner. We discussed the local film festival in Lancaster, which happens once a year, happened last weekend, so we talked about that on the show. That noise, Sean, it's one of two things. It's either the telly, because I've got the election coverage on, or it's my dog over there, the bloody noisy dog snoring. It may well be him you can hear. He does get very loud, so sorry about that. Is Ray Turner famous? Well, he would certainly be flattered than you would suggest that, but I think it's the dog too, yes. No, he's not really famous. He would like to be, maybe one day, but yeah, he's a good guy. Yeah. Oh, okay. Maybe you know another rate, but yeah, I mean, he's a local filmmaker and he runs a film co-op in Lancaster. And actually, his was one of the films at the Short Film Festival, but he comes on the show regularly on my weekly radio show. And we did a special last week, which was discussing the film festival from the previous weekend. And yeah, in a few weeks, we've got the 100th show, my 100th film show on the radio, where Ray again will be involved. And we'll be doing our individuals top 10s of the 21st century. So Ray's top 10 and also my top 10, which is pretty exciting. I think we're going to have completely different lists. There may be films on his list I've not seen and vice versa. So it's an exciting idea, and I think a good way to mark the 100th show. So that's coming up in 3 weeks' time on Beyond Radio. Hi again, Howard Sky. Well, it's still the Brexit Party at the moment, which of course was expected. The Lib Dems are number 2, and the Greens doing quite well. Again, they're 3rd. That's in the UK, of course. Obviously, slightly different results across Europe. So yeah, the 100th show coming up in a few weeks, where we'll do a special top 10 of the 21st century, a top 10, Ray's top 10 and my top 10 as well. Very exciting. Then we have a special show the week after as well, where Ray will be talking about the films Heaven's Gate and Blade Runner on the same show. We'll be discussing them because there's a special connection, a special sort of place in Ray's heart for those two films. So we'll be doing a special on them. Both are very interesting histories. Also, last week on the show, I reviewed John Wick Chapter 3. Don't know if either of you guys have seen that, but it's a very entertaining film. Keanu Reeves on good form. some really stunning and impressive fight sequences. Very cinematic. It's a bit overlong, drags a bit in the middle, but overall I recommend it. John Wick Chapter 3 was a blast. And I also reviewed the thriller Greta with Isabelle Huppert and Chloe Grace Moretz. Sort of a Fatal Attraction style thrill, the sort of film you don't see very often nowadays. And directed by Neil Jordan, who's had a pretty solid, consistent career. But yeah, Greta I really liked as well. Very tense towards the end, very good performances, as you would expect, and yeah, done very well, I thought. So I recommend Greta too. That was my film of the week from last week. And some big films for this week. I mean, there's a live action Aladdin, directed by Guy Ritchie of all people. Will Smith as the genie. Very bizarre. See how that works out. I'm also planning on catching up on the new Godzilla, which is coming out this week. I didn't see the previous one, but I heard good things. I believe it's a different director this time. And I'm trying to think what else I've got. Oh, Booksmart, a new independent coming of age drama. I'll be watching that and reviewing that this week for the show. I've heard very positive reviews of that. So that'll be another review. I got sort of 4 or 5, I think, reviews this week on the show. There's a Netflix science fiction movie out of Japan I'll be trying to catch up with and review as well. I sort of can't remember the title, but it sounds intriguing, sounds like it will be worth a watch. Harrods Guy, no. Not recently. I mean, see how things go tonight. We could put a Buffy on and watch it on this stream. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I've not watched a Buffy for a while. Just but been watching different things. I've been watching Umbrella Academy, the Netflix show, which I've really been getting into. I think it takes a couple of episodes to really get into it. There's a lot of different characters and a lot going on. There's a time travel plot involved, but yeah, I'm really into it now. Good direction, good characters. Yeah, good sort of mix of comedy and drama. Pretty strong cast. Ellen Page is in it, who I always like. So yeah, Umbrella Academy, if you've not seen it, I recommend checking it out. Have you been watching anything good, film or TV wise, Harrods Guy? I was saying, of course, the picture's slightly different in Scotland, where the SNP are the top party, and at the moment they're top in Europe. And there's an SNP on the telly now making their case, saying he would try and revoke Article 50. So there you have it. Yeah, Buffy's obviously a classic show. Any particular episodes, Harrods Guy? Any season in particular?
in the referendum. That has been comprehensive. We try to find compromise solutions. The Scottish Government has put forward various compromise halfway houses which could have solved the problems that Mrs May showed no interest in solving for herself. There are solutions that can be found to this. We're open to that dialogue, but we are clear that the best Brexit is no Brexit, and we need to revoke Article 50 now. And if a second referendum is the way to do that, we're open to that.
I mentioned earlier on about the prospects in Scotland in terms of the SNP and its desire for independence and looking at the strategy for a second referendum there. What will this result do in terms of that process?
It's very early days on that as well. It's very early days on that. We're bringing forward legislation in the Scottish Parliament next week to facilitate.
The situation in Scotland is very interesting, very complex with the SNP. I think their consistent push for independence and obviously to stop Brexit is getting a lot of mixed feelings from particularly the independence thing. I think some feel maybe they're overlooking homegrown issues because of their desire to push for another independence referendum. But they're holding on to power. They're still the top party in Scotland. But there is opposition there.
The number of votes asked for each party or candidate were as follows. Change UK, the independent group, 58,274 votes. The Conservative and Unionist Party, 163,830 votes.
Well, that's certainly what May said, yes. I mean, even as someone who's not a Theresa May fan, I've got to give her credit for the way she stuck in there and continued under such dire circumstances. I mean, she didn't desert the country, unlike, Cameron did. So she has my respect for that, even if she made a dog's dinner of the whole thing and was a terrible prime minister. But yeah, she does. I hate seeing anyone cry, Harrods guy, but there you have it. Yeah, she should have held it together, really, on that. I've not seen the mimes or the memes, Sean, but it doesn't surprise me. These sorts of things, tend to take off online nowadays. Yeah. Not nice pun there, Harrods guy. It is indeed. June really is the end of May. It certainly is, and sadly, there's no. I mean, it might as well still be May because there's no one to replace her, and there's no one who's going to change anything. The situation is still going to be the same. And I think what we really need is a general election. I mean, I think Boris will get the leadership. Getting some results from Chelmsford. Yeah, I think it will be Boris. I think he's played it quite nicely because he's kept his head down for the last year. Because for a while he was just putting his foot in his mouth all the time. And I think he became unpopular with people in his own party. And so I think he's been keeping his head down now. So suddenly he's come back into favour, especially since he's a hard Brexit here. Yeah. I mean, in a way, we'll be getting our version of Trump I hate to say if Boris becomes Prime Minister, but I mean, out of the candidates, I would take someone like Gove, you know, a bit more moderate Conservative, but yeah, I don't want any of them really. I want a general election. We need to find a way out of this mess. Oh yeah, Gove has a way. He's clueless like all of them, but he certainly has a way.
Seven of them in all, and we can see 3 from the Brexit Party, 2 Lib Dems, 1 Green, and 1 Conservative. Now, this, Laura, is a very dramatic result and a pumping victory for the Brexit Party.
It is a pumping victory for the Brexit Party, no question.
I mean, as I said on the stream the other week, Harrods, I'm not convinced Labour can get into power with Corbyn. I mean, maybe because the Tories are in such a mess, but I just think there's a lot of people not convinced by Corbyn. I think Labour need a change of leadership. I mean, I would vote for them if they had someone else, someone better in charge. Because I think it's a divided party. It's not all his fault. I'm not blaming him for everything, but yeah. Do you mean for the Tory leadership or Labour? I think Labour need a woman. I think there's a lot of good candidates. Lisa Nandy, the Wigan MP, yeah. I mean, Lisa Nandy, the Wigan MP, who I was watching on TV today, I think she may not have the experience just yet, but she's very grounded. She's got good core working class values. She speaks up for women's rights and a lot of working class issues. And I think she speaks a lot of sense. She's one of those people who doesn't just play the party political stuff. I mean, she speaks very sensibly and honestly. So someone like Lisa Nandy, Emily Thornberry, who's on the TV at the moment, I said earlier, would make a good leader. She has a lot of experience. Again, a strong personality, plenty of passion. Yvette Cooper, I think, could make a good Labour leader. And I think the name's gone out of my head now, the Midlands MP, Jess Phillips, I think, could make a very good leader. She's very straight talking, very laid back, and again engaging. Has a lot of passion, and again talks a lot of sense. So there's Sadiq Khan. I mean, that's an interesting shout. I think he's doing a good job as the Mayor of London. So we want to keep him doing that job, I guess. But I mean, who knows? Maybe Labour can get in power with Corbyn. It's going to be close. It's so hard to predict the next election result. At the moment, the one thing I will say is that I don't see either party getting a majority. I think it will be a hung parliament. So who knows what will happen if that happens, basically. And I have no idea when another general election will take place. Something tells me it will be before 2022, though.
Tommy Robinson is a nasty little man, and he's been completely defeated of that. But I think that the other thing, I just go back to what I said originally, is that this is a single issue election. don't have a clear message on that single issue.
Emily Thornby talking about Tommy Robinson. Robinson, as she says, a nasty little man, has been defeated apparently. He's not won his seat, so that's very good news. We really have to keep that, the likes of him down. It be very uncomfortable if he gets more power than he already has. But Thornberry also being honest and Labour haven't got their message out there. Not a clear enough message, not on Brexit anyway. Of course, Labour did very well at the last election because they made it about the issues outside of Brexit, the more traditional issues, the more everyday issues. Whereas May and the Tories went for a more national sort of thing and trying to play on the Brexit issue. And it almost backfired. In fact, it did a little bit. So Labour actually did better than expected because they focused on the other issues outside of Brexit. But it's sort of different now. I think now, with things in such a mess and with things getting to a crunch period, then I think Labour need to have a more firmer position now. There's loads of results to come. Harrods Guy. Oh, I can see Sean disagrees with something I've said because of that little face.
Green Party, 278,950. Labour Party, 536,810. Liberal Democrats, 608,720.
That could be it, Harrods Guy.
The Brexit Party, 400,257. UK European Union Party, UK EU.
Oh, well, you would be confused if you don't follow politics.
UK Independence.
But just, we can talk about anything, basically.
490. Women's Equality Party, 23,000.
So in London, they've just got the graph up. It's a different picture in London. The Liberal Democrats are out in front. 608,725. So the Lib Dems doing very well in London. They've got 3 MPs elected tonight in London. Labour have 2, the Greens have 1, Brexit Party have 2. That's in London. Holla, 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 Becca. How are you? Thanks for joining. Say hello to Sean and Harrods Guy. Got your favourite flavour Pop-Tarts? Cool. So Lib Dems doing well in London, Becca. I don't know if that means anything to you. Sadly, I don't have any drink, any booze. I got my movie cup though, with all its clues, all the different pictures. Well, some people like this beard, but yeah, I'm gonna shave it. Don't worry. Neat cut. Yeah, it was a birthday present last year from a friend. So a good gift. So yeah, Lib Dems, as far as London, are ahead, which is very interesting, turning into another good night for the Lib Dems.
And in London is absolutely the sort of beaten heart of today's Labour Party. It's not just Corbyn's backyard, Jeremy Corbyn.
And I suppose that's a blow for Labour because London is traditionally one of their strong areas, with a big student base in London, so losing some ground in London, certainly as far as these elections are concerned, I mean, tends to be a lower turnout, you have to say, but yeah, I like chocolate, but I think I prefer the strawberry ones. Sean.
As I say, I think it's a single issue. I think it's been a single issue election, and I have many people saying to me in the respect, I'll always vote for you, I'll always vote in generals, I'll always vote Labour, but in this, you just need to get the message that you need to be clear about what you're saying. Because I would explain what Labour's position was, and they would go, oh, okay. And I say, I know, it's taking 5 minutes to explain exactly where we are. We needed to be clearer and sharper and make it absolutely unequivocal as to where we're going and what it is that we're going to need to do. And that seems to be that unless we do that.
So, any questions, any comments?
General election, there will be many other issues.
Anyone been watching any films or shows, or we can talk about anything?
What would you say to him?
Well, I think that's I talked to that buddy, and he is very conscious of the fact that people are supposed to.
When am I seeing Booksmart? I'd probably say midweek, probably Tuesday or Wednesday. It won't be tomorrow, but I'm gonna see it and review it for my show. I've not seen the new Aladdin, Sean, but that's another one I'm probably going to watch this week so that I can review it for Thursday's show. Yeah. I've heard it's alright, Becca, but again, it's just needless. Just a pointless remake, really. It's very bizarre that Guy Ritchie is directing it, of all people.
Things like this talk is toxic, she says. This kind of talk about the way back to he says it's toxic.
Oh, really? That's a shame. I mean, that'll be to do with limited release, I'm guessing. Yeah. I mean, that can happen, especially if it's getting good reviews, which it has been. Obviously, the summertime with a lot of blockbusters, it's a tough time for an indie film to get released. But I mean, that is getting some good buzz. And yeah. And obviously, for people who want something a bit different, it can still do well. I mean, there has been examples of that, and certainly, if I like it, or I'll be flying the flag on my show, I should say. We'll see. It's fairly low budget, so it might do quite well. Still.
Does you make out you've somehow been trying to cooperate to deliver Brexit? You simply haven't.
6 weeks we were talking to you guys.
All things getting feisty between Labour and the Tories.
You voted again and again and again. The only thing you did in a deal
think you're both in denial here, to be honest. I think everyone's in denial about what voters in your Labour heartlands want, and I think if you continue to push the second referendum,
Emily Thornby has a posh-looking red book, a notepad, which I'm in favour of.
It's not Brexit. The massive surge in support for the Brexit Party against is effectively.
Yeah, Becca, why? Didn't like Free? Tut tut. I loved it. I mean, I'm trepidatious about 4 because I think it might be one film too many. And I know there's been production issues with the 4th one.
Yeah, let's have one that says Theresa May's deal, no deal, or a name, and let's split the lead vote. Yeah, very clever, that, Emily. We're right about that one. What this is it's no deal if there is no other option. Every sensible Leave voter in the country would like to have a decent deal. May's deal is not a decent deal. It was an utter capitulation vote. This is a vote for we don't want.
How did he?
We want to be all right.
Who's the voice actor for Mr. Potato Head? R.I.P. Sad to hear.
Because for a long time, many of your colleagues have been saying exactly what
Okay.
you said tonight, but you've been part of the shadow cabinet that agreed this policy again.
Oh, that's sad. Sad to hear.
I don't
Oh, thank you, Becca. Dom Rickles. R.I.P. to Dom Rickles. I mean, I've only seen number 3 once, which was when it was at the cinema. Had to see it in 3D, unfortunately, but I remember liking it. But it's been ages because it's nearly 10 years now since that film came out. Shows you how time flies.
In our policy, we still hadn't gone far enough and fast enough, and we weren't clear enough. And I did do everything I could in the public to be clear about that. And what I have said behind the scenes is a matter for me and my colleagues, and I'm not going to leave conversations that other people did, and it is known that my view was.
I mean, I understand that you will be going somewhere else soon. We're going to be missing your company, but thanks for joining us. We'll see you in another studio. It's another election. Thank you very much. I'd like to give a chance, though, because Heidi Allen from Change UK is joining us. Heidi, thanks very much for waiting to talk to us. Okay, what's your reading of things there?
Well, here we have had 2 Lib Dems and 1 Green candidate, MEP selected, 3 Brexit and 1 Conservative held their seat. Labour have gone. Massive swing to Remain. If you compare how it was last time, actually, when they were significantly more union than Conservative, it does feel like a big swing.
There you have it. Before Becca was born. Damn you, Becca.
Sorry, forgive me, could you repeat that?
I'm just asking, for you as a new entity, political entity, how did the campaign go for you?
To be fair, it went really, really well. And the candidates tonight, I'm so proud of them. They worked incredibly hard, from nothing. And what was really noticeable tonight is just the energy in our group. We are down, but we're not out. Everybody feels very, very.
Heidi Allen from the Change Party, who have had a disastrous start to politics.
When you go from here, I'm just wondering, what's your honest assessment of your prospects?
Again, no clear message, but
what is your sense?
it was a brave thing they did, leaving their parties and looking to start this new party to represent an alternative. But it's certainly been a terrible start. It's basically all over Europe, Becca. I mean, the thumbnail, the picture for this stream is the Green Party in Germany, who are expected to do very well tonight.
I'm sure there'll be people watching watching.
I think that's a similar situation to the UK, where obviously there's been a message sent to the bigger parties because of this whole Brexit mess, and the fringe parties like the hard right and the Green Party, the hard left in Germany, are taking a lot of votes off the main party.
Between ourselves, the Greens and the Lib Dems. So I feel that that's just setting the scene for the future, and hopefully we'll have enough time between now and the general election when we can work together in a more.
Oh yeah, the draft, yeah. She is indeed. She likes keeping an eye on people. Yeah.
What I'd like to do now is bring in Mr. John Burgess. The first time in this election night. John, thanks very much. It's good to have you.
It is a star. I can't argue with that. The star of these streams. Howard's guy says hi. Draft. Okay. Yeah. She's being antisocial tonight. What can you do? But here's the thing to throw open, certainly to the guys in the UK, that Heidi Allen was talking about a minute ago, talking about parties banding together. And we all do. We all relate to the draft. Pro-Remain parties or whatever you want to say on the left banding together in the UK. Yeah, very good point, Sean. Stuff like that has to be cleared up. It's in a terrible state. Damned if I know, Becca. Damned if I know. It's such a mess. But yeah, the point about smaller parties, left-leaning parties banding together, and you've had situations where in certain regions MPs have stood down to allow other parties' MPs to run, like it happened with the Green and the Lib Dems in the recent local elections. And this idea of parties uniting, I think that with things the way they've been the last few years, I think that could be a good strategy for them to fight the right, essentially. What do you guys think? I think that sort of thing could be a good way forward. Could be a smart strategy. The Conservative Party has clearly taken the message that it needs to deliver Brexit if it's going to recover in Afghanistan. I think in particular, the idea that the next Conservative Prime Minister is going to be able to call an early general election in order to try to improve the arithmetic of the House of Commons to make it easier to get Brexit through is probably for the birds, because the honest truth is that the Brexit Party is going to continue to pose one of the biggest challenges it has done. Okay. I think that's unlikely at the moment, but I mean, that could be a good coalition if it ever happened. I think the Lib Dems and the Greens are probably more likely to form a coalition, if anyone. But we'll see. Certainly an unpredictable time. But we need something to change, that's for sure. So we've got the Doc Brown nerdy professor on TV, the BBC election expert who likes to do all the science and predictions. He's actually saying then the next Tory leader might push for a general election to improve their majority in Parliament, because that's the issue at the moment. They don't have a majority for a Brexit deal, to force a Brexit deal through, and they would need that. But that would be a gamble as well for them, because it might not go well for them, a general election. It could do with a different candidate, but yeah. I think that would be a risky strategy myself.
Rita, first of all, take us through some of these results. And you've got two interesting things here to compare.
That would be more funny if I knew what Supermax prison is. Becca, what's Supermax prison?
Just look at this. Islington, Jeremy Corbyn's constituency, Theresa May's constituency is Maidenhead. Look at the performances, the two main parties in their own backyards. Like in Islington, Labour in second place, Liberal Democrats.
So in Islington, which is Jeremy Corbyn's constituency, he is in second place, or Labour are in second place, to the Lib Dems. 29% Labour, 30% for the Lib Dems in Islington. And in Maidenhead, which is Theresa May's constituency, the Conservatives, they're ahead, but by a very small margin.
Well, thanks very much. And that presents its own interesting thing for us. I'm going to ask Alistair a very blunt question first of all. Someone spent years in the Assembly going there and before that. It's a prominent leading figure.
Oh, Alexander. Hang on. Alistair Campbell, the novelist / former politician, saying that for the first time in his life, he didn't vote for Labour in these elections. He voted Liberal Democrats. He's a smart guy, Campbell. He's always entertaining to listen to, but has a lot of muck on him because he was part of Tony Blair's government and was connected to the whole decision in the war on terror and what have you. So yeah. Here's a question though, Becca, speaking of US politics. Do you think then the Democrats really have to focus on their own issue and getting a good candidate and their policies rather than being so obsessed with trying to get Trump impeached? Because I think that's a dangerous road to go down, because at the moment they haven't been able to do it and time is just dragging on. And I think if they can get a good candidate and really push that person, then they can win next year at the elections. Because Trump only just got in power last time against what was seen as a weak candidate. So I think the Democrats are in danger of shooting themselves in the foot. You can only push this attempted impeachment so far. Well, maybe not, but there's obviously all these stories and these attempts to get dirt on. And I mean, I'm not saying that there's clearly some dirt there, but just reading out some results from Wales, where the Labour Party have done well. They're top at the moment in Wales. 127,833 in Wales. But now Plaid Cymru, they're saying they've gone ahead in Wales. Oh, I see, they're reading them out. So again, the Brexit Party getting plenty. And it looks like they're going to win in Wales, have the most.
5,655. Roedd gyfanswm nifer y papurau pleidleisio ar y ffordd 5,655. And I do hereby declare that the following candidates are duly elected as the 4 members for the said electoral region. Ac yr oedd fi, roedd hyn yn darllen fwy i'r ymgeisydd fel pedwar aelod dros y 2 wledig.
It's the dog, you can hear him as well. He snores very loudly.
Gillian Jill Evans, Gillian C. Jill Evans, Plaid Cymru, Annie of Wales.
Just the one, Sean. It's the same dog. It's a Staffy Backer. Rescue dog. Very nice.
The 4 MEPs elected to Wales, 2 of them from the Brexit Party, 1 for Plaid Cymru and 1 for Labour. So if we look at the tally itself, Nathan Gill of the Brexit Party speaking there, former UKIP MEP of course, Brexit Party on 2 seats in Wales, and Plaid Cymru on 1. We're going to go straight from Pembrokeshire to Birmingham to the West Midlands.
The European parliamentary elections held on Thursday, the 23rd of May, 2019, do hereby declare the number of votes cast for each party as follows.
Yeah, that'll be it, Becca, yeah. He's a black one, black and white.
Conservative and Unionist Party, 135,279. Green Party, 143,500.
So they're declaring the results in the West Midlands.
228,298. Liberal Democrats.
Good turnout for the Greens.
982.
143,520.
UK Independence Party, UKIP, 66,934.
A little bit, Becca. Yeah, a little bit. Not quite though. Change UK got 45,000 plus there. Brexit Party again winning 507,152. Labour in second place.
Third seat, Nina Gill, Labour Party. Fourth seat,
Pretty depressing picture being painted.
fifth seat, Andrew Roberts, Union Kerr, the Brexit Party. Sixth seat, Elizabeth Town, the Green Party. Seventh seat, Anthea Elizabeth Joy McIntyre, Conservative and Unionist Party.
Not at the moment, Sean, no. I do volunteering and other things. And I'm thinking of going into teaching later in the year. Hopefully to teach film or media, something like that. AJ, the dog's called AJ.
Labour on 1, they've lost the seat. The Lib Dems have gained the seat. The Greens have gained the seat. Another strong performance by Lib Dems and Greens as well. Tories have lost the seat. 3 seats have disappeared. The Brexit Party have picked up the rest of the share of the vote. So the Brexit Party on 38%, the Labour Party on 17%, the Lib Dems on 16%, which is a strong showing by them, and a strong showing as well by the Greens. The Conservatives really down significantly the last time. If you look at the change in the share of the vote, you see what I mean. So let's look at the change from last time. you'll see that Labour have down 10%, Lib Dems are up in there, the Greens are up 5%, but the Conservatives are down 15%. So back to the number of seats again, just to tie this up. The West Midlands, such a vital electoral area, as we know, and certainly in Westminster, there'll be lots of focusing on some of these results in terms of what it could mean for a general election if it comes into this year. Brexit Party on 3, Labour on 1, Lib Dems on 1, Greens on 1.
Yeah, I saw that, Becca. I saw the trailer was out for that. The final series of Orange is the New Black. From the same showrunner as Weeds and also Glow, which I know me and you both enjoy. I've still only seen 6 episodes of Orange is the New Black. I need to go back and watch it.
This set of elections, clarity is winning on either side. And the two main Westminster parties have been trying.
I know someone on the Buffy board said it really gets going after the first 6 episodes.
Here's a clear message. It might be stopping Brexit, it might be doing it straight away even if we don't have a deal. Clarity is the winner.
Just an interesting note before we move on to this. We've been told this that people want to change UK Wales. If they voted Lib Dem, and if it's said that the Lib Dem were a seat, so this fragmentation of parties are very important. And that is also true in the North East. So the point that we were putting earlier is Red Davey is very valid in terms of the way that's broken down.
Absolutely, and in terms of what happens next in this crazy period in politics, whether or not the forces of Remain, if you want to call them that, can actually get together is a big question mark. It'll be very critical to see how they answer.
Big summer of TV, it all kicks off over the next few weeks. Handmaid's Tale. For people in the UK, Killing Eve 2's coming up. Big Little Lies coming up in the next few weeks. July has Stranger Things 3. So many big shows coming up, returning.
That's substantially more than the Brexit Party want. And then we assume, I think, that a lot of the Labour voters, those who stayed loyal to Labour, actually would have been pro-People's vote, pro-Remain as well. So I think that there's no doubt that the Brexit Party has done very, very well. But, you know, they have virtually completely gobbled up the UK vote. They're getting some support from, if you like, disaffected Labour voters, but by a massive margin, where they're picking up where the Labour Party view is to be, as you were saying, Laura was saying, those parties have a clear message.
Riverdale, I do sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, it's the night after in the UK, Meta. Sorry, Meta, that's from Forum Becca. Riverdale. Yeah, sometimes I watch it. I watched the first couple of seasons. I made a start on 3. It's entertaining trash, basically. It's stylish, and I kind of like the film references, but yeah, I think after the first season it went downhill a bit. Very hit and miss. Yeah.
Yes, it's been very good.
So I've been watching the 3rd season, but very slowly. I've had other things, but I enjoyed the 1st season, and the 2nd season had its moment.
I totally disagree with what Alice was saying, obviously. I think absolutely the day that the Labour Party comes out absolutely firmly with a pro-European line is the day that it starts to absolutely hammer through, just particularly in the North East of England. And, well, I think the way...
I don't think it's the CW, Becca. I think it's actually the WB. And it's on Netflix in the UK. I think it is a bit more clever than those CW shows. I think it's being a bit tongue-in-cheek. I don't think it's actually... But it's very trashy. I mean, I can understand why you would. I mean, I don't love it, but I can watch it as a light sort of watch. Yeah, Camila Mendes. I quite like the actress who plays Betty. As I said, I think the first season was the best.
Change UK, the independent group, 30,162. Conservative and Unionist Party, 92,863. English Democrats, 11,283.
Okay, maybe. I just thought I'd seen the logo WB at the end of the show.
Labour Party, 210,516.
The point remains, I think it's a little bit more clever than those CW shows. I think it is being ironic, a lot of it. I don't think it's a straight sort of soap, but very cheesy, as I said, which isn't always a bad thing.
The Yorkshire Party, 50,842. UK Independence Party, UKIP, 56,100. I therefore declare that the following candidates have been duly elected for the Yorkshire and Humber electoral region. John Longworth, the Brexit Party. Lucy Elizabeth Harris, Richard Graham Corbett, Labour Party. Shafak Mohammed, Liberal Democrats. Majid Majid, Green Party. James Pugh, the Brexit Party. Each of the parties will now mention
Documentary called 1994, Netflix. I might do. I've not heard of it. What's it about? I hope it's set in 1994, otherwise I'm going to be really annoyed.
We have Richard Corbett for Labour, familiar Labour politician in the European Parliament. Shafak Mohammed for Lib Dems, Majid Majid for the Greens, and James Pugh for the Brexit Party gets 3 seats for them. Let's look at the tally, and there we have it. 3 Brexit Party seats, 1 to Labour, having lost the seat, again for the Lib Dems, again for the Greens, 2 Conservatives, we've seen elsewhere, losing their presence on the regional slate. And
Quite close in Yorkshire.
Share of the vote, Yorkshire and Humber, let's have a look at it.
Gains for the Greens.
So the Brexit Party is way out in front, with Labour in a kind of distant second place on 16%, and the Liberals
Okay.
really kind of coming right up and matching Labour's performance on 16%, which is quite a big
Okay. Yeah.
in this area. The Greens on 13%,
Yeah.
Tories on 7%. So let's look at the change.
Tragic, but not surprising, unfortunately, in Mexico.
Since last time, 9% share of the vote.
But yeah, that does sound like it could be interesting, depending on how it's done, but certainly a worthwhile subject.
Tories and Labour, quite similar in Yorkshire and Humber in terms of the damage inflicted on them by this Brexit crisis, because that really is what we're talking about. As others have said, Emily before, for Labour, this is really has been a one-issue election. That's what that's the president really is. So another sort of sector of disaster that the Brexit party will be having. And I'm just thinking again from your point of view,
No, haven't seen Behind the Curve. Is it another documentary?
My worry is we'll have some Labour MPs will be saying the Brexit party shows that we have to sort of move towards water, and I think that is exactly the wrong thing. I think what you've seen is a protest against the government Brexit, and a protest against Labour for having such an unclear policy and unclear position.
The Penn's far-right party have won in France in the Euro elections. Bit of a trend in Europe at the moment, that. Okay. You might have mentioned that before, actually. Might take a look at that.
So this is what the Labour Party has done. Leaving all this, they can have the foundation for winning a general election. If they don't leave this, they're facing oblivion.
Well, let's see what Richard Tice's view on this is. He's the chair of the British who's in, well, he will be doing it, that's guaranteed.
4 people watching. We're going up in the world.
What do you make of your party's performance?
Oh, down to 3 now. God damn it.
I was delighted by the results so far, both here in the eastern region where I've just been elected an MEP. We're also up and down the country.
Who's this?
And millions
Oh, the chair of the Brexit Party.
They supported what we stood for.
He looks like some sort of a dodgy male model.
Let's promote and stand for a WTO Brexit, and then we need
Someone eavesdropping.
to go forward and help the negotiating team. And people have backed us very strongly, very clearly.
So Alistair Campbell, a People's Vote campaigner, saying that if Labour get the message out there about pushing for a second vote, then that could be the difference with them getting in power.
But I'm intrigued by the thought that this election, you say, is off the hook to people, because I'm wondering, how does that happen? How does the Brexit...
Otherwise they'll be abbreviated, in his words. And what we don't want, folks, is a no-deal Brexit, that's for sure. That would be disastrous for people's jobs and security and all the rest of it. Certainly people didn't vote for no deal.
And what we've also said, and millions of voters up and down the country now have the opportunity to say, actually, we're confident, we're comfortable with the WTO.
I no idea what you... Is that because of the bid, Becca? Is that why you think I'll be a Kardashian soon, or... Oh, yeah, the 4 people. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, very good. Very good. Well, gotta use your talents, especially in this economy. Rob Kardashian.
Nation, and they want to move forward, they want it done, they want certainty, and we will grow and we can go even faster.
Richard, you've lost in Wales. The Arch Brexit Party will look forward to the same. Wales is now Remain again. That's very, very good news from my side of the argument, not yours. And also, just in the text, this is for Labour. Darren Waldwell is the leader to Barking and Dagenham Council. And he's been unequivocally fighting against Brexit ever since the referendum. And they've beaten the Brexit Party in Barking and Dagenham, which is the only council to vote out. If you show leadership on our side of the argument,
there's quite an interesting argument being made by Alistair Campbell. Then, although Labour are having a rough night, then in certain areas, like Leave areas, they've actually been doing quite well and picking up votes. And that, in a way, they've been making gains in Leave councils. So it might actually add up to Labour, actually, if it was a general election, doing quite well. But I don't know. He might be putting a brave face on that.
Okay, Richard, you come in. Yes, Richard, well, there's an important interruption here. Alistair Campbell has just tried to smear us, suggesting that Rubens have come in. Not just singular Rubens have come in. Alistair, I think you should apologise.
Richard, I won't apologise.
Be big enough for national TV.
No, Richard, don't lose your sense of humour.
Not the single stretch.
Don't lose your sense of humour. And also, I I think there are some pretty unanswered questions about the campaign in 2016, which we will keep going on them as well.
Richard, on the point about, this is the issue for me, which is how are you, as the Brexit Party, newly constituted, now with these MEPs, how are you, in practical terms, going to change the Brexit outcome that was reached after 2 years of negotiations between Theresa May?
And that's another ongoing issue in this whole thing that Campbell's just raised, the fact that there's suspicions over the funding for the Brexit Party and the Leave parties. There's controversy over that.
Actually, if you're the government or what's left of it, they really need to start listening, wake up, and say, yes, come and help because we made such a shambles of it. And there's things that we'll be doing, obviously, in Brussels.
Richard, thank you very much for joining us. It's good of you. Thanks a lot, Richard. I said
Decisive win for the Socialist Party in Spain, getting 6 seats there. So interesting there. Of course, some people in this country on the hard left would like a return to socialism. I don't think it will ever happen myself, but there is a fringe group pushing quite hard for that.
Conservative and Unionist Party, 144,674. English Democrats, 8,393. Green Party, 302,364. Labour Party, 108,000.
Far right AFD group, AFD party gaining 4 seats in Germany.
The Brexit Party, 611,742. That is 611,742. UK Independence Party, 53,739. Maxi, Larchy and Albert Frank Independent, 1,772.
In Wales, Labour third, behind Clyde Plumbury.
And Neville C, Independent, 3,383. The total number of rejected ballot papers in the region is 9,544. I also prepared a statement setting out the details as required by the European Parliamentary election rules, but I hereby declare the following candidates have been duly elected for the South West region. Laurie Widdicombe, the Brexit Party. Caroline Jane Bowman, the Democrats. James Alexander Blackson, the Brexit Party. Molly Scott Cato, Green Party. Christina Sheila Jordan, the Brexit Party.
Anne Whittaker raising her ugly head, getting elected as an MP for the Brexit Party.
So there we have our latest regional result from the southwest of England, and Anne Widdicombe, the former Conservative MP for Maidstone, now the new MEP, one of them anyway, for the
Wow.
southwest.
Unbelievable. It's like jumping back in time.
Because there was only one reason for voting for the Brexit Party, and that was if you wanted a Brexit. And therefore, we will go forward to determine that that is what we are going to achieve. And when we know Brussels, we will say that because of our showing in these elections, and the fact that we so clearly speak for the people, that we want a role in the negotiations. And that is what we will be asking for. And I just thank all the residents who came before us, who said to the politicians at Westminster, we meant what we said.
And we're reaffirming the message that Richard Tice was giving us earlier, which is that they want to share in the negotiations if they pick up again after the failure of the Theresa May package so far. So the Brexit Party on 3 seats in the southwest, the Lib Dems on 2, very strong performance by the Lib Dems again, the Greens on 1, another strong performance, Conservatives having lost their 2 seats, Labour having lost a seat, and UKIP present to that's got the pattern that we've seen throughout the night. All those UKIP votes from last time seemingly switching over to the Brexit Party, and the Brexit Party also seen as well as some other parties as well. Let's look at the East Midlands result as well before I ask my new panel to comment on what's going on.
UKIP looking pretty much like a dead party now.
There we have the,
So that's one bit of good news.
452,339 votes. 5 MEPs East Midlands, and there we go. That's the region itself. Also, a very important electoral region, Westminster, is an election later this year, and we see the Brexit Party again top of the hill in East Midlands. The Lib Dems in second place, Labour quite a way behind in third place, and the Tories even in fourth place. The Greens pretty close to them actually. They're really in fifth place, the Conservatives by the Greens in East Midlands. And if we look at the names of those elected, because we spoke to the person at the top of the poll a short while ago, Annunciata Rees-Mogg, Mr. Jacob, Tory MP, the lead Brexit MEP on this list, with Jonathan Bullock, party colleague, and Matthew Patton joining them. That's 3 Brexit MEPs. William Newton Dunn, the Lib Dem, Bill Newton Dunn, the veteran Lib Dem politician, former Conservative, and then Rory Palmer for Labour. So looking at the tally for the East Midlands, what do we have? 3 Brexit Party seats, 1 Lib Dem, 1 Labour, and then the Tories losing their presence there. The share of the vote tells us something as well about the screen. 70% for Lib Dem, Labour on 40%, Tories on 11%. And the change from last time, the Lib Dems 12 percentage points up, and Labour 11 percentage points down, the Tories 15 percentage points down, and the Greens up 5. So that gives you the picture. And I think that we have 2 sets of results there that really reinforce the kind of drama of what we're seeing.
Both these sets of results, the Southwest and the East Midlands, reinforce the same thing, that the Labour Party and the Tory Party are in big trouble when it comes to Brexit. Neither of them have managed to secure a single MEP in those 2 regions. Both of those 2 regions and millions of voters therefore will be represented by people other than the 2 main Westminster parties in the European Parliament. European elections are not a direct read across to what might happen in the general election in the future. Nonetheless, we are seeing tonight profoundly a real rejection of the 2 main dominant Westminster parties, how they handle Brexit. And the idea that a party can look at trying to come up with something that might work, like, yes, okay, we're going to leave, we're going to do it this way, and try to compromise. Clarity is what's going to come. I said it before, but clarity and a clear message is what is coming out on top. That's the Brexit party.
In a moment, I'll be talking to the guy from Ringing Down the Price, but first I want to introduce my guests. Welcome, good to see you. Hi, this late up so this thank you. Okay, after all. Well, what do we know? On your local election programme that we're working on, I am predicting that the local will be like.
And we have a change of panel. Jo Swinton for the Lib Dems is on, wearing her flashy gold jacket again, which made such an impression the other week. She's a potential leadership candidate for Lib Dems. I think she's the favourite to take over from Vince Cable, and I think would make a great choice.
Change annihilated. Poor old Heidi Allen reminding me of the Solomon film, quite an election sketch once. There was a slight silly party, and their candidate, Kevin Phillips Bott, tries to pretend they
great we've got no votes. Bless her, Heidi kind of reminded me of Kevin. So overall, thank you for that. Yeah, well, there we are. But
It's obviously handy, and of course, there's negative things activating it.
look, change is there, but this is
The Conservative MP having a bit of fun at Change UK's expense,
they know that the British establishment trying to prevent us despite the result.
claiming that they'll basically obliterate.
That experience for Labour, Stephen's gone.
Well, it's a very bad, disappointing night for Labour.
The Lib Dems playing it cool though.
One thing that we have been
Light what? Becca, did you mean the gold jacket I was talking about, or the light on the screen?
a kind of unholy alliance of second referendum campaigns and no dealers have conspired to push the country to the edge of no dealers. Because when you have a polarized debate and you have these two groups fighting each other for a standstill, you end up crashing out of the EU on the 1st of October without a deal. Let's just remember that whatever the electoral calculus, what a disaster that would be. So I, for many years, been saying we should be in the EU, but with a deal that keeps a close
Okay.
relationship with the
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
customs arrangement, and I think that reflects the 52-48 mandate to move house but stay in the same neighbourhood. We unfortunately are now in this deeply divided Polar situation.
Of course,
That is a very dangerous
staying in the EU but reforming is some popular view from certain Labour and left-leaning people, which he was discussing there.
And look again at its attitude to second vote and all the rest of it. Did it surprise you that you said that?
I didn't surprise me. I think the company has certainly been attacking that direction for some time. I think that we should have stuck to our guns and stuck to our guns as a party of a sensible, pragmatic, bridge-building form of Brexit, one that recognises the very legitimate grievances of many of the voted, the 17.4 million people, why they voted the way that they did, recognises though the need to protect jobs, livelihoods, environmental standards, and that is perfectly doable by remaining closely aligned with civil
Are you not as divided as a party as the Conservatives appear to have been outside of this debate? Is Labour divided to an extent that it can't be repaired under this system?
Well, I don't compare the Tory cycle of Europe, which has gone on for 30 years. Their self-indulgent, intimate-sided has absorbed so much time and energy and resources. Frankly, the Tory party should hang their head to the shade. And now we've seen another Conservative Prime Minister put to the sword by the issue of Europe. That just doesn't compare to where the Labour Party.
But you're still divided, yeah.
But as things stand, we are divided. We've had a referendum which clashed with Labour's pro-European policy. But those of us who voted with them, but who totally accepted that we need to be looking for a way through this that can reunite our people.
It's looking good for you so far, John. What does it say?
Well, our message at this election is very clear. Stop Brexit, the civil election pro-European party for our history and indeed predecessors. So for decades,
Not yet.
Liberal Democrat commitment to the European
There might be something with agency work. There's a thing at the job centre coming up, but yeah, it's not great. It's not ideal relying on agency work, but we'll see. I'll keep plugging away. And have other irons in the fire, as the expression go.
If you wanted to remain, you voted Liberal Democrat. If you really wanted to leave as soon as possible, you voted
Thanks, Becca. It certainly does, Sean. No, they stink. the system's broke. They don't have a clue, I'm afraid. So I'll just keep pressing on and doing my best with other things.
And that is the party that said we should leave as soon as possible, if necessary, with no deal. And you can spin it any way you want, but they want it. Yeah, they want it as an individual party. There's no question about that. But if you start adding up what the Lib Dems and the Greens have done in quite a lot of these regions, the picture looks rather different, does it not? Well, let me answer. But this is the European party, not the it's a European election, and it's on European policy. I think you could probably argue, you might agree on this, that people have voted more clearly on European policy in these European elections than perhaps they've ever done. Yes, yeah, because there was so much more interest in the European issue. So I think that's a fair thing. And when they voted on the European issue, they voted very, very clearly for a party that says it wants to leave as soon as possible, even with no deal. There's absolutely no hesitation about who's won this, the Brexit Party. And I say this as a Conservative who voted Tory and will do all my life, but the Brexit Party, let's be honest, have won this hands down. And they want to leave even with no deal. Hold for a second, I'll come back to George once to that. What I'd like to do is don't have the West, because Adam Price and Easy Price has been losing patiently there. Adam, thanks very much for joining us. I'm just going to put the Wales results up so that viewers can see them. And we see that the Brexit Party, were way up in front of Wales on 32%. The Plaid come in second place on 20%, having increased by 4 percentage points on last time, and Labour significantly in Wales in third place with the Lib Dems in fourth place. So, talk us through what that campaign did and what you achieved in this campaign in your view.
Well, I mean, two big stories of the night here, really. I mean, as Alistair was saying just a few moments ago, Wales that did vote Leave 3 years ago, it is tonight now again a Remain nation. If you tally up the votes for the avowedly pro-Remain parties in Wales versus the pro-Brexit parties, then we won. And by the way, I'm not including Labour there, because which faced both ways following the set of policy.
Retail outlet. Remind me where you work exactly, Becca.
Big story tonight, a uniquely Welsh story, of course, which is a historic victory for us in overtaking.
Still in education, of course.
History was worth the wait, but for Labour, of course, I think you've got to go all the way back to 1906, probably, when Keir Hardie was first installed as Labour Party leader for them, coming third in an election in Wales. This, we often overuse these words, don't we, seismic, etc., but this is truly a historic occasion in Wales, and I think, yes, the European issue was right at the heart of this, but because most people break that habit that has been here for a century in Wales of Labour Party dominance, then that allows us as a party then to actually start to build the platform which hopefully will take me to victory as the First Minister in 2 years' time.
How do you explain, you mentioned Plaid Cymru's heritage and Labour's heritage in Wales, which we know about. How do you explain then that a party which has only just been formed, the Brexit Party, robbed sold with 32% of the vote in Wales?
Well, look, I mean, there is obviously a Leave supported. The interesting thing is to compare the actual result. What's happened is there's been a Remain surge in Wales. We've seen it in the low case, the Liberal Democrats, etc. So that's the story in terms of the tectonic plates shifting, particularly in terms of my country. What happened with us is that thousands and thousands, particularly of disaffected Labour voters, were completely exasperated at the vacuum of leadership that is the Labour Party, not just in the case of Jeremy Corbyn, but we have new leaders all round in political parties in Wales. And, Mark Breckler, this was the first electoral test of the new Labour leader in Wales, and he's failed miserably because he did not provide the leadership that even his own supporters and members were rightly expecting in terms of this incredibly serious challenge that they were facing, because Wales being ripped out of the heart of Europe and being ripped out of our economy in the Britain.
What does this result do in terms of the Brexit process then, Adam? I mean, people have voted like communists, 20% of the share of the vote, and you made your point on that, but what difference does that make now to the Brexit process?
Look, I mean, whatever happens, of course, if another party that has a leadership vacuum, we would be
Any summer plans? Maybe. Might go on holiday somewhere. You remember I volunteered. You might remember I volunteered at Fright Fest, the horror film festival last year in London for the first time. Well, I'm gonna hopefully do that again. That was great fun. Some great people there. Saw some good films, so yeah. I'll do that again if I can. That's in August. And yeah, it's been a while since I've had a holiday, so I'll probably probably somewhere in Europe, I'm not sure yet. I'll see if I can get some cheap flights or whatever. Maybe somewhere Scandi related, Sweden, Denmark maybe, or I wouldn't mind going back to Germany. Cannes, no, not yet. I went to Berlin one year for the film festival there, which was really good. Berlin's a great city. That's one city I could see myself living, actually, Berlin. But yeah, I wouldn't mind going to Cannes. Just very pricey, of course.
Thank you, Hughes. Good morning. The Brexit Party is emerging as the big winner in the European elections as the results come in. It's also been a successful night for the Liberal Democrats and the Greens, but both the Labour and the Conservatives have done badly. More than half the results have now been announced. Well, here's our political correspondent Nick Eardley with a roundup so far. And just this morning, his report does contain some flash images.
Yeah, of course, Cannes has changed a lot over the years. It's not. You hear a lot of people say it's not the festival it used to be. It's more about the glamour and about the business side of things. But yeah, it would be good to go. I know you get some interesting crowd reactions at Cannes from what I hear. People walking out, people booing, standing ovation for certain films. And they announced the Palme d'Or today, which went to Parasite, from the director of Okja, the South Korean director. Also did the host, the original host, and quite a few films. I think I've only seen Okja, which is on Netflix, but I enjoyed that. But that's a talking point in itself, because a female director was the favourite to win the Palme d'Or this year. The director of Girlhood and Water Lilies was the favourite to win the Palme d'Or, and in the end it went to the director of Parasite. And that means that Jane Campion, I got a like, that's cool. Jane Campion for the piano is still the only woman ever to win the Palme d'Or. That was back in 1993. So still only one woman has won the top prize at Cannes. Pretty sad, that.
Countries like Germany, where the party has jumped into second place behind Chancellor Angela Merkel's Conservatives. Ireland, Finland and France are also predicting strong results for the Greens. In France, the far-right National Rally Party has topped the European election vote against President Emmanuel Macron's ruling party.
Huge celebrations from the Green Party in Germany.
People have called on President Macron to dissolve the French Parliament, something he's already dismissed. More EU citizens voted in these European elections than in any other in the past 20 years. The the same can't be said in the UK. The European Parliament said the Europe-wide turnout was around 51%.
And there's a bit of a scandal with EUs in the UK voting. A lot of EUs have been turned away at polling stations. They've had their names crossed off the list, and yet they've lived in the UK for years. So there has to be an investigation into that. That's just not on. Disgraceful.
Welcome back to the BBC's election studio. Now, we were talking to Adam Price and Ingrid Baker Paul Gray, and a short while ago, we were looking at the position in Scotland, and just drawing up a comparison with that to see what was going on. Let's have a look at the Scotland projection so far, because this will tell us something about the state of play there, especially with the SNP and the newly so we have the SNP on 38% of this.
Yeah, there's something fishy with that, Becca, because it's not like we've left the EU yet, and they're still living in this country. They've been living in this country for years, so they have UK citizenship. So there's no reason why they shouldn't be allowed to vote. So it's either a massive cock-up or it's some dodgy conspiracy. The fact that maybe they don't want them to vote, they're worried about them voting against, well, what they would want them to vote for, let's say, then they're voting for the left-leaning parties. I think that's the conspiracy theory anyway. But it's certainly a balls up, certainly needs to be investigated.
And they specifically appeal to people who are not natural SNP supporters. They don't necessarily support Scottish independence. They say, lend us your vote to send a Remain message. And it appears that that may have happened. Now, the Brexit Party look like they have come to the second 50% of the vote. People talk about Scotland being a Remain country because it voted by a majority to remain. It's not now. See that with the Brexit Party coming second. The Lib Dems have done really very well, gaining a seat, almost doubling their vote from 5 years ago. The Labour Party are the ones who have suffered very badly in this election, losing probably both of the seats.
Could be similar, yeah.
European Parliament. They've lost about 17% of their vote now.
Yeah, things have turned very ugly in this country, especially since the Brexit vote.
The Lib Dems are up significantly as well. Maybe some Labour voters who want to send a clearer message.
So the SNP remaining top in Scotland, ahead of the Brexit Party. Lib Dems are in third in Scotland. Conservative fourth, Labour fifth, and UKIP bottom in Scotland, that is.
Some kind of case for Nicola Sturgeon to press on with that with even more force.
Well, it will certainly give them a boost in morale and in momentum. And of course, momentum is everything in politics. When you are seen to be on the up, then people are listening to your arguments. You have an audience, and people are receptive to what you want to say. And as you say, Nicola Sturgeon argues not only for a second referendum on Brexit, but also a second referendum on Scottish independence. Now, given that they went into this election clearly saying this is about the EU, it's not about independence. Vote for us, even if you're not an actual.
I don't know, maybe I'll take the holiday that week when he shows up. Well, they seem to be ready. They seem to be rolling out that red carpet. Unbelievable.
Sarah, thanks very much for now, and we'll be back with you later. Sarah's going to pass back to editor. Before we bring the panel back in, and we'll with you, of course, as well.
Surreal.
Let's just ask Peter. There's some comparisons here between different local authorities, because the counting is happening in local authorities within these regions. Those that were strongly leave and those that were strongly remain. And what have we found in there?
Some stark differences, which won't surprise you, Hugh, but the detail is very interesting. So we are characterising the strong leave councils council as being a council where 60% or more voted to leave the European Union, and the strongly Remain council is where 60% or more voted to remain. And you can see here in the strong leave councils, the Brexit Party way ahead of everybody else, 45% of share of the vote, and the Conservatives are in joint fourth place with the Green Party.
I think it's next week, isn't it? His state visit. Pretty sure. God damn it.
Gained the title of the party Remain, if you like, in those councils, or 24% clearly over the other.
Well, my team are playing in the playoff final tomorrow. In the Championship playoff final. I support Aston Villa. They're playing Derby in the final, so going to be an interesting game. Hard to predict, really. But we've been in good form, so fingers crossed. But yeah, not an easy game against Derby. Could go either way in a one-off final like that. But yeah, I'm fairly confident, let's say that.
If you look carefully, you won't see any Conservative blue. And that's because the Conservatives have failed to come top of the poll in any single local authority.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Astonishing for both of our main parties that are here, it's so starting with that. And in the abstract, that is an astonishing thing. And this set of results, it suggests on this European election that Brexit is basically breaking the hold of the two most established parties.
And there we have the heart of this political storm. There you have Nigel Farage and Southampton in the southeast region.
Nigel Farage is in Southampton. Lucky Southampton. I guess they drew the short straw tonight. What movies? Well, the second It film, It 2, I'm looking forward to. Because I like the first one. And it'll be interesting to see what they do introducing the adults into the story. It's got a good cast, but I really enjoyed the character drama in the first film. So the horror wasn't the best in the first film, but I just got sucked into the characters, and the villain was decent as well. Some interesting themes in it, but yeah, it's going to be tricky keeping that up in the second half, especially if they're going to be flicking back and forth. But yeah, It Chapter 2 is one I'm looking forward to. I mean, Tarantino's next film is going to be interesting. Getting some buzz from Cannes. I'm not a big Tarantino fan, not since his early films, but they're saying this could be a return to the sort of film he used to do.
The Socialist Party of Great Britain, 3,505. UK European Party.
So it will be interesting to see it.
UK Independence Party, 56,400.
Why his films have to be so bloody long though, I don't know, but there you have it.
650. David Victor Round, 2,606. Michael Jeffrey Turbeville, 1,587. And I therefore declare.
I know it's not new, but I'm going to see 8th grade in a few weeks at my picture house, because that recently came out in the UK, and I'm excited for that. The Lion King, the live action Lion King, will be interesting. Jon Favreau, who did a good job with The Jungle Book a few years ago, is directing that. So that could be one of the better live action Disney versions.
The third seat goes to the Brexit Party, and the candidate elected is Alexandra Leslie Phillips. So the second seat of the Brexit Party. We'll stay with this list, or because Nigel Farage may well say something, and we'll stay on that. But a very strong performance there, of course, for the Brexit Party here. But then again, fourth seat goes to
Gotta go. Okay. Thanks for dropping in, Becca. Have a good night. And we'll have to do a screening next time, a live watch. Okay, see you soon. Take care.
In the coming weeks, it will be interesting to see what they do with this. So we've heard from Brexit Party representatives tonight. They now are going to try to demand some kind of role in negotiating the Brexit deal, or how we leave the European Union. That seems very difficult to imagine how they might do that, but a very strong quite a negotiation to get us out as soon as possible without a deal. Surely they're not going to suggest somehow taking place in Westminster negotiations, but they are clearly
Bye.
Nigel Farage is extremely good at making his case to the public in a way that appeals to a certain kind of voter. And he's done that again.
second Lib Dem seat made up there. I've got a 10, this is the biggest region in terms of seats, by the way, the South East of England. So there are 10 MEPs being elected in the South East region.
Last time round, the Conservatives had 3 seats.
Danielle Hannan is returned as a Conservative MEP, and one of the prominent Brexit campaigners. I think we're almost there, aren't we? Another Brexit Party member. Another couple to go. We need another page. It's a big region, okay? It's a big region. Another Lib Dem seat. 3, the Lib Dems. Very strong performance by them as well. Joe Switzer will get a chance to say something, which is nodding very happily as she's watching the results in the studio.
3 seats for the Lib Dems in the South East. Good night for them. 1 for Labour. Hey Sean, how's it going?
So I think we're now here from Nigel Farage.
Mr. Returning Officer, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Never before in British politics has a new party launched just 6 weeks ago, topped the polls in a national election. The reason, of course, is very obvious. We voted to leave a referendum. We were supposed to do so on March the 29th, and we haven't.
Got through the Pop-Tarts all right.
Massive message here. The Labour and Conservative parties could learn a big lesson from tonight, and I don't suppose that they actually will. The new date is the 31st of October. We, in the Brexit Party, have got men and women, considerable business experience. We want part of that negotiating team.
Farage pushing his record rich about the Brexit Party and their strong backroom that apparently have all this experience in business. Then they should be involved in the negotiations, which of course isn't going to happen.
Well, there's a warning from Nigel Farage. I think it's fair to say that if that Brexit doesn't happen in October, when the latest deadline is set, there'll be a general election at which the Brexit Party will try to make its point. We may get a declaration from Manchester in a second, but Laura, quick thought on that.
But the prediction is then if if Brexit doesn't happen in October, which is the new deadline, then that's when we'll get a general election. So the Brexit Party trying to make their case. Of course, I don't think they won a general election because I think they would fare less well in a general election, in my opinion.
Well, that's the issue. Well, on that point, the withdrawal agreement tonight clearly is dead. It's finished. So the default position is to leave the European Halloween. There are only really two things now that can do it. One is
Yes, of course, Halloween. How fitting Halloween is the deadline to leave the EU.
Indeed, but I mean, we don't ask, it doesn't matter what they do. So you've got to assume that a pro-Brexit Tory economist, someone like Boris or John Bravo or Steve Baker or someone else would not do that. But then the only other way of preventing it would be an act of Parliament. And that's extremely unlikely because one is so...
But yeah, it's all getting very complicated. I don't think we'll be leaving on the 31st somehow. Depends how things transpire when the Tories get their new leader, but the prediction is it could lead to a general election if we don't leave on the 31st, which would make things very interesting. I think we probably need a general election, although it's not ideal.
Now, that will go to our members. We've got to get it. We've got about 140,000 all the surveys by climate concern.
Well, my take is that we need to push for some sort of proper deal, a deal which obviously keeps us in some sort of contact with the EU. While still leaving, we need some sort of a customs union, I think. A customs arrangement of some sort.
Anybody who voted Remain in 2016, their campaign is now over the board. It turbocharges basically, the case of a leading Brexit.
What we see from this is the Liberal Democrats got up most in the elections. If you take the UKIP party as the predecessor to the Brexit party, if you could perhaps let me speak, Mark. So you see this huge surge, and indeed you see the Greens going up. You see this huge surge in support across the country for people saying, no, enough is enough. This is an absolute mess. And what we need to do is get back to the people so they can decide. No, because you've had all these different potential competing visions of Brexit. The Brexiteers, you can't even agree amongst yourselves what it looks like. So that's not
We just had the European election.
Can't even agree amongst yourselves, let alone what was said back in 2016. The suggestion that we go ahead with something that has such a profound consequence for generations to come, without the confidence that that is what people want to happen. And of course, on this suggestion, people are coming up with Brexit, I think is a very unsafe suggestion.
With
a third, just a little third of the vote. I mean, so the suggestion that we go on that path, it is very unsafe. We need to put this back to people. That's the only way to resolve it.
I mean, I am absolutely convinced that a no-deal Brexit is an economic catastrophe.
Well, I'm not really good for
I've got 4,000 steelworkers in my district. You see, we depend on frictionless trade with the European Union, and I am absolutely convinced that we need to down steel. Those steelworkers are in serious jeopardy. The big problem on the second referendum side is there's never been a pathway to get to it, because we had an opportunity, I think, if we voted for the full agreement bill, that at a committee stage we could have actually had a set-piece debate and vote on having a second referendum. People campaigning for the second referendum didn't want to get the withdrawal agreement bill through its second reading. So we've got into this situation where lots of people on the no-deal side have stood up and said what they want, but haven't thought about the implications. And the people on the second referendum side have stood up and said what they want, but without setting out a pathway to get there. And if you have politics which is only about the what, not about the how. You are going to end up with a serious mess, and that is where we are.
Voted on whether or not to have a second date. 3 times we lost. We've debated it for hours. We voted on it 3 times, and every time we voted on it, we voted not to do it. So it's not as if it's happening.
There's building for that clearly between those votes. Whereas the House of Commons has been very clear that nobody will be attached to it because it's the government's own. The government's own figures are allowed yesterday, Sunday, but also on issues like security.
Right? The House of Commons has voted on certain topics. We are elected by the people. The people voted, and they voted to them. The party that advocated leaving, we will vote it as one of the down.
Stop for a second.
Smell the coffee.
We've got, well, let's smell the coffee in Manchester. We've got declaration coming up.
Virtual returning officer for the European parliamentary election in the North West electoral region, held on 23rd of May 2019. Hereby declare that the total number of valid votes, as notified to me, given to each registered party and individual candidates, is as follows. Change UK, the independent group, 47,237. Conservative and Unionist Party, 131,002. English Democrats, 10,045. Green Party, 216,581. Labour Party,
Green Party doing well in the Northwest. That's who I voted for on Thursday. Labour as well. Yeah. Didn't? Okay. Right. That's fair. Yeah, it took me a while to vote for the first time. I was about 25 when I voted for the first time in an election.
I therefore declare that the following candidates have been duly elected in the North West electoral region. Claire Regina Fox, the Brexit Party. Theresa Mary Griffith, Labour Party.
A laugh, I think, at the expense of Tommy Robinson, who hasn't had a great night. Reading out results in Manchester. Gina Dowding, the Green Party, who is part of the local council round here, has been elected in the Northwest.
So there we have the result from the North West region of England, and this involves 8 MEPs. So let's have a look at the result there, and we have the Brexit Party once again top of the poll.
Brexit Party again on top in the Northwest. 3 seats. Labour Party second with 2. Lib Dems also have 2 seats. Green Party have 1. Conservatives don't have any in the Northwest. And same with the UKIP. No seats for them in the Northwest. So, again, promising results for the Greens and the Lib Dems there. And again, Brexit Party romping it. Well, not romping it necessarily in that area. It was quite close, but again ahead.
Transfer, it seems, of votes from UKIP last time
Kerry also taking it from Conservatives and Labour too, so it's a mixed pattern, isn't it? I'll talk to my new guests on the panel in a second, and I'll introduce them properly, but nice to see you all, thank you very much. What I'd like to do first...
And the Green Party with their best results in 30 years, it says, so picking up momentum.
Congratulations on the result. What does the result tell us, do you think, about our national political picture?
Well, I think it's very straightforward. The people have once again voted to leave. Because there was only ever one reason for voting for the Brexit Party. We didn't cloud it with any other issues. We said, vote for us if you want a Brexit. And that is what the nation has done big time tonight. We've only been around for 6 weeks. And so I think what this does is send a very clear message to Westminster again. But if they don't sort out leave, then at the next general election, both the big parties are going to face carnage.
Well, of course, no one's going to deny, Anne, that the Brexit Party has done very well. But the Lib Dems have done exceptionally well, and the Greens have done exceptionally well. How do you explain that then, if this vote is a vote to leave?
Wakey, I said the Brexit Party made it about one thing. There are numerous reasons for voting Green, and not just because they stand for Remain. I mean, if you're worried about climate change, you're worried about the oceans, whatever it might be, you vote Green. The Lib Dems.
Wakey, says Anne Widdecombe. Interesting sub-theme, because obviously Hugh Edwards making the point then not only have the Brexit Party done well, but Greens and the Lib Dems and their Remain parties, so maybe that suggests there is a big appetite for a second referendum or Remain or that sort of thing. But Anne Widdecombe, her argument is then people are voting for different reasons for those parties. It's not just Brexit, whereas they're only voting for one reason for the Brexit Party, which is their problem. They've got no policies outside of Brexit, but it's an interesting sub-theme. And the big thing is what happens next, really. The results tonight have been quite predictable, what people expected. But what happens next, that's the key.
First of all, I think this sends the message to Westminster, which will almost certainly guarantee, I can't say certainly because you never know these days, but should certainly guarantee that the next Prime Minister is committed to delivering Brexit by the 31st of October. I think that is one very big achievement.
Widdecombe has a very evil way of saying Brexit.
Pretty well changed politics over the next few months. So I think there's that, but also what we are saying is we believe...
Makes it sound like the most evil word ever.
So just to be clear, which negotiations are those?
Getting out of the EU, from which, by the way, we should already be out. We shouldn't even be having these elections here. These elections are a clear demonstration of the farce that has enveloped Westminster.
But there are no negotiations. The negotiations have been done. Theresa May spent years on them, and there was a withdrawal agreement. So which negotiations are you talking about?
I'm talking very straightforwardly that we should have a say in what Brexit looks like. That is what I am talking about. And I believe we would. And it's pointless to say that the EU can just sit there and refuse to talk to Britain, because the EU has as much interest as we have in getting this sorted. They have believed until now, and with good reason, I may add, that they could just do what they like with us and that we would comply. Well, the British people, unlike its politicians, have given them a different answer.
Yeah, of course. I'm just making the point that the negotiations formally have terminated. We're heading towards Devon the 31st of October. There are no other negotiations planned. So I'm just puzzled as to where
Brexit Party intervenes in this process? How does that happen?
Oh, that's fascinating. Nothing else is planned. So whoever becomes Prime Minister is going to do absolutely nothing between now and October the 31st. Is that what we're saying? That is a nonsense. And you know it is a nonsense.
So you think the negotiations are going to be reopened?
I think we can put pressure on the EU, but actually, I'm not interested in their further concessions. I want a clean Brexit, and that is where we've got to put our pressure.
And when it comes, good to talk to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, with us, Tobias Elwood from the Conservatives, and John Ashworth for Labour, and Sean Berry from the Green Party. You're very brave turning up and getting into the lion's den. And Anne Widdecombe was pretty feisty there, I thought, giving us some answers. What did you make of it, Tobias?
Well, she didn't give us all the answers. I mean, firstly, can I say thank you to all those people who did vote Conservatives? It's important to say that. But I can also say I understand why so many people didn't. Why they stayed at home. Many people didn't think this was going to be an election that we're going to have. So I think we use it as a protest vote one way or another to support a very binary position that they have on the referendum.
Did you expect
Yes, we did, because
So, next time we have a general election, will you be voting, Sean? Your first time voting? It could be later this year. Probably won't be too far away.
So there's a trust issue that we recognise, and that's why it's reflected not just on Thursday, today, but also the local elections a couple of weeks ago. So we have a massive challenge ahead of us to regroup, to re-energise, to focus.
I mean,
And that's why I hope
obviously I can see why people do get disillusioned. And if you don't know a lot about the facts, but I tend to think it's important to vote anyway, especially when things are in such a mess. I think that's even more important to vote when things are so unstable, to try and push for change and just support the ones you do believe in, really, you know. Make a difference. I mean, I was saying to someone earlier, if Labour had a better leader than Corbyn, I would vote for Labour because I share a lot of their values, a lot of their policies appeal to me, but I just can't do it with Corbyn, I'm afraid. So I think it's worth supporting parties like the Greens or even Lib Dems starting to make a comeback. So at the moment we need to look for alternatives, really, with the way things are. But we'll see, it's ever changing. Well, at the moment, Sean, the next election isn't until 2022. And that's because obviously the Tories called for an early election a couple of years ago. So we would have had an election next year originally, but because they called for an early one, unemployment's a massive issue. So many issues, the NHS, education, unemployment. But yeah, it's 2022 now, as it stands, but I'm pretty sure we'll have another election before then. With the way things are going, I think someone will get an election pushed through. Because the Tories don't have a majority for their Brexit. And if they don't get it, that will lead to a general election at some point.
But clearly this election has become a kind of mini referendum, a binary choice, and Remain voters have clearly gone to Lib Dems and Greens, and people who want Brexit have clearly gone to the Brexit party.
Because your message is not clear.
Well, I think our message is clear. We were putting forward a compromise, but in this type of election, people didn't want to compromise. They wanted to sort of rerun the referendum. But of course, we've got to understand that. We've got to reflect on that. We've got to discuss that in our party amongst our members and at show the cabinet level. I'm not remotely complacent. I think it's very serious when you're losing huge numbers of votes for Lib Dems in Islington, but equally we're losing in Bolsover. And how does a Labour Party which aspires to build the country keep both sides of that coalition together? So we really got to reflect. I do something anything.
I'm kind of summarising Emily Monroe's message earlier. She was basically saying, look, this we have to just take stock and realise that the policy position that you put forward isn't working. You don't seem to be going that far. What do you say, that you should take a look at the policy again? That you should look more seriously at the possibility of a second referendum, or what do you suggest?
I mean, we have supported second referendum, but at the occasion, so the occasions when we've been given an opportunity to vote for a second referendum in Parliament, we voted for it. It didn't go through because Tory MPs didn't vote for it. Tory MPs had voted for it, and there was a
formal Labour
vote. We didn't have a formal Labour vote. That is that we were putting forward a compromise solution to try and bring both sides together. And if we couldn't get that compromise solution, as well as block and damaging no deal, it would go for a referendum. It now looks like, by the way, we're going to get Boris Johnson as the Tory leader, Tory Prime Minister, who on the back of these results will probably go for a no deal. And we've got to work across Parliament. If we don't support that, you've got to work with us to try and block that. And to block that, the way to block that, it is a referendum.
Now, we've mentioned several times this evening, briefly on I think you put in a very strong performance in several days. But before you comment on it, I'm going to ask Rita to tell us about your performance, okay, and to see some figures, okay, and then we'll ask you to comment on that. Thanks, Rita.
Yeah, Boris would push for a no-deal Brexit if he was the new leader, as the Labour MP was just saying. So they need to work together to block that, essentially.
And look, they've come top in 2 council areas. A really strong result from them in Bristol. Look at this, the Greens on 35% there, way ahead of the Democrats on 23%. And this was a Labour voting area 5 years ago. The Greens overtaking them, really very, very strong performance. Interesting, the turnout here is 44%. That's up by 8% in Bristol. Bristol was a very strongly Remain voting area. There's a comment on whether or not turnout is higher in Remain voting areas. Quite a few numbers on that shortly. Let me take you to the Green success, which is Brighton. Now, this is an area where the Greens are traditionally strong, and they put in a strong performance again. 36% of the share of the vote, well ahead of the Liberal Democrats. And I was very happy.
And another strong performance in Brighton for the Greens, which is traditional. They won with 36%.
That is 2 councils more than the Conservatives, who failed to come top in any single local authority area.
Well, I think no deal would be a disaster, Sean, personally. I mean, there's no signs that we have any fresh trade deals set up with other countries. And there's just so much connected with the EU, so many different things like defence, laws, trade deals. So you need to at least remain some of that, keep some of that attached. You can't just have a clean break and expect things to be normal and not have disruption. But eventually, who knows, it might have to go that way. I mean, a no-deal Brexit is a possibility, there's no doubt about that. So yeah, there could be a general election as early as this year, later in the year, depending on what happens after the 31st. Certainly next year, I'd say, at some point, if not this year. And I'll be doing a live stream for that general election, as well as the US election next year. That's the plan anyway.
Now, this is not a victory for Nigel Farage's party. I think we saw from what I'm just that they intend to do nothing apart from complain that we have a left no deal, which is basically their only policy. So I think we are in a position now where we have to be looking at all of the parties that are not coming for nothing at all, other than leaving a no deal, to come together and put forward something that helps deal with this. That agrees on some kind of deal with the people, and then puts that deal to people. The only thing we can see that contains when everybody rejects it, so the incumbent is so badly that they're crying out for something new, and they've seen that.
Projection. So let's have a look at the projection, and I'll bring in John for just in a second, because this is the set of figures that Sean has got. So if we look at this projection, you can know the results of it. Brexit Party is currently on 32%.
Yeah, I think so, Sean. Yeah.
And as the party is saying, won the election, but that's with a poll. However, if you look at these results in different ways, John Curtis is that Lib Dems on 20% on the current projection, a surge in support for Labour on 40%, the Greens on 12%, as Sean was saying, and the Conservatives way back on 9%, the SNP also in 4%, that's the Great Britain projection, 4%, but in Scotland itself is 38%, so that's high country on 1%, though in Wales that is 20%, or thereabouts, so 1% of the GB. Yes, Sean is smiling, okay, but I have got to just make a point that, of course, we have the button different ways. And John, if people are looking at this and thinking, okay, Professor Curtis, tell me, is the result of this election pro or anti-Brexit? What do you say?
I'd say that it's probably best read as approximating to a draw. I draw that conclusion by taking into account two pieces of evidence. The first is the party's avowed stance, and secondly, also the evidence of the opinion polls as to which were the parties that were overwhelmingly drawing their support from either the well of Leavers or else the well of Remainers. Now, two parties, both in favour of leaving without a deal, overwhelmingly, almost entirely supported by new voters, the Brexit Party and UKIP. Total vote, 35%. There are then three parties, the Liberal Democrats, the Greens, and Change UK, which again are in favour of the second referendum, and who, according to the polls, their support again overwhelmingly came from Remain voters. I'm leaving out the Nationalists, by the way, particularly in Scotland, because they were one of the very few parties that were A, successful, and B, according to the polls, were getting quite a lot of Leave voters as well as Remain voters. So let's just stick to the three parties that are A, pro-second referendum, but B, were overwhelmingly being backed by Remain voters according to the polls. Tally, 35%. So I think the honest truth is that what this election has done two things. One is to demonstrate just how polarised the public are on this issue, that indeed most Leave voters at the end of the day would prefer to leave without a deal rather than not leaving at all. But most Remain voters are very attracted by the idea of a second referendum. And as John Ashworth has just admitted, the attempts to come up with a compromise, at least so far as the public are concerned, have proved unconvincing and have in the end acquired very little enthusiasm. What in effect has become the de facto second referendum. But to that extent, is however also a reminder that actually the opinion polls can take a long time.
Okay, gonna sign off for tonight, I think. Gonna settle down and watch a bit more of the coverage before heading to bed. But thank you very much for everyone who took part. Thank you, Sean, first time. It was a lot of fun talking to you. And there will be more soon on the channel. So thank you and have a good night. Thanks.